Problem with continuously compounding interest. So notice it says found the amount A accumulated after investing $3,350 at a rate of 6.2 compounded continuously for 8 years. Now this is the key word here, or two key words, compounded continuously. And what that means is we need to use this equation now, because we're not going to use compound interest rate because it's continuous. We're going to need that e to the k times t. Okay, so how do we find the actual true rate of k? Well, we're first going to look at what happens when we have just 1 year at a rate of 6.2%, and we're going to use that to figure out what k is. So let's set that up. Well, first of all, we need to figure out if we invest $3,350 at a rate of 6.2%, what will be the value after 1 year? Okay, so let's multiply this. And this would be if it wasn't compounded continuously, but we're going to use this to find what k is. So when I multiply this, I'm going to get my calculator here, and I'm going to say 3,350 times 1.062, and that is going to give me a number here, and we can see it's equal to 3,557.7. So we're going to have our number here, 3,557.7. Okay, so now we're going to set up our equation with t being 1, and that's going to give us our value for k. So let's go ahead and do that. Our amount here is going to be 3,557.7, and then we're going to have that equals a sub 0 is my initial amount, 3,350 times e to the k times t. Well, remember, t is just 1. So now we're going to go ahead and use our solver tool in the TI Nspire, and we're going to find that rate for k. So we're going to go to Algebra, Solve, and when you go here, now you're just going to set up your equation, 3,557.7 equals 3,350 times, now make sure you use this button for e, and you notice the e is in bold because it's an actual stored value. Then we're just going to put k here, and we're going to solve for k. We don't need to put the 1 because it's just times 1. So notice what you get here, right? You get a value for k that is not exactly equal to the rate. It's slightly different, and that's because e is that compounding continuously, and that exponential value is is not a finite number in terms of it's not equal to 2.7, right? It's a non-repeating, non-terminating decimal. And for that reason, we need to save this value. So what I like to do here is I just copy that value, and I'm going to store it. Okay, so you just want to copy this, or you could just rewrite it here. And now you're going to say Control, Store, and you're going to type in K. Okay, now that value is stored as K, and now I can use it to actually solve the problem I want to solve here. Okay, so notice we're going back to our problem, right? We need the time, how much money we have accumulated after 8 years. Okay, so we're going to go back here and set up another problem now. So now is my actual problem, right? I know that k equals, I have that k is equal to, if I look right here, I have that k is equal to natural log of 531 over 500. Okay, so when I have that, that value is now stored as k, so I don't have to worry about it. And now I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to set up my final equation. So now the amount I want to find is going to be this a. Okay, now we're still starting with the same amount, so we're going to use 3,350 here for a sub 0 times e to the k, and we know what k is now. We have that value stored, and now our t equals 8 because we're looking at 8 years. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and use the solver tool again to get my final answer. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to menu, algebra solve, and we're going to look at setting this up because I actually know what k is. So when I solve it now, I'm going to solve for a. So I'm going to say a equals, and you can really call this anything, but I'm just using a because that's our equation, times e. And remember, don't type it like I just did. Make sure you use this button. And now notice when I type k, it is in bold, and that's because we have a stored value for k now that's in our calculator. So we're going to say comma, we're going to solve for a, and we hit enter. Okay, so a is this crazy number, and obviously if you want to get the actual approximation, you're going to go ahead and say control enter. And now, as I always want to solve this to three decimal places, now I'm going to write my final answer. So the amount of money in the account is going to be, back here is going to be a equals, and we're going to say approximately because it's an approximate. So a is approximately equal to, let's go back and look at that number. A is approximately equal to 5,420.520. Okay, now you've estimated this to three decimal places, and that would be the amount of money accumulated in the account that's compounded continuously. Okay, but the key thing here is storing that value for k. And remember, when you want to store a value, all you do is you type in the value, like I did right here, natural log of 531 over 500, or I just copied it, and then you say control var, but when you hit control, you're actually doing the sto function, which is store. Okay, and now you're done.